So the last few years, I feel like it's been a massive rave of more people getting into the fitness space, be it running, jogging, cycling, going to the gym, yoga, wherever it is, Pilates. Like it's we've had a massive fitness wave in the last few years, and I feel like 2020, 2021 only helps to proliferate that culture throughout society in many ways, where people are locked up in their houses because of lockdown restrictions and whatever, and they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for a jog. I've never jogged in my life, but now that I can't go outside, let me become the athlete that I was born to be. And so many of my friends I've seen recently, like going for jogs. There's that whole £5 for 5k thingy, 5k, £5, whatever it was, the five for the Heroes UK thing. I shouldn't even do it. I probably should have done it. I've been nominated a lot of times. I'll do it at some point. You'll see that on my Instagram if you follow me there. But this culture that I've seen cultivate throughout society recently in the last couple of years, that's something that I've always kind of had an eye on, but as a contrarian, I've never actively been involved in. But I have observed it. I have noticed it. I have an interest in it. And being someone who's had a Fitbit, not this one in particular, but I've owned Fitbits throughout the last 4 to 5 years. Maybe even more than that. I think I started when I was refereeing, so maybe even like 6 or 7 years. Having a Fitbit, tracking my steps, tracking my sleep. And giving Google all my data, I thought, you know what, let me actually challenge myself for the next 2 weeks, starting from, of course, 2 weeks ago, to track my intake and my sleep, and that's basically it. So my intake as in food, as in water, and then sleep as in literally just sleep. Nothing really more to that. And yeah, this video is kind of just my. I'm not going to give my results here. I'll give like a brief, surface level analysis, but I don't think it's valuable at all for me to go into a deeper look of the numbers, because as you can kind of tell, I'm not like a fitness coach or anything like that. I'm not a gym guy. I've never really been overly invested in the scene to really understand what this app is telling me, even though I will show you the numbers. Again, I'm going to try my best to avoid any objective analysis because, as I said, I don't know much about it. I don't want to give the wrong impression. Don't expect to be educated or enlightened on anything fitness focused in this video. This is more of just me going over what I've seen for the last 2 weeks and reflecting on how I physically feel in the real world based on these numbers versus like what these numbers mean for my metabolic rate and resting heartbeat and all this stuff that I'll leave that for the athletes. Maybe I'll shoot my friend a message and talk about calories and stuff later. But other than that, yeah, let me start recording the screen now. One thing to note is that I do have Fitbit Premium because they offered me a free month for 90 days, with basically 3 month free trial. So I thought, you know what, let me get it and just see what I can use it for. Obviously, I've only been using it properly for 2 weeks with the whole tracking thing, but this app, this is not a paid promotion or anything. I don't even want to give a comprehensive overview of the app because I haven't used it to its full capabilities. But they have a lot of inbuilt exercises, diet plans and stuff. So it's quite comprehensive. It's quite a good app relative to what I assume a good app should look like. But yeah, as I said, I'm not going to give a full analysis. I'm just going to show you the numbers. You can see from the top already, 2,495 steps. That's actually gone up like 200 since I've been sitting here recording this. I guess because moving your arm contributes to the numbers. So either this isn't on tight enough, or the app's not as accurate as I would like to think. So I'm going to tighten this up. But yeah, I don't know. I can't vouch specifically for anything on this because I don't know what the numbers really mean, and I don't track things enough to have a comprehensive evaluation. But yeah, let's just go into the numbers. First of all, let's look at steps. I'm not going to spend a long time on this because it's lockdown. I haven't really been going anywhere. My general step count, as you can see here, is quite low, barely touching 5,000. I haven't got close to the 10k suggested since Feb, since like a month ago, Feb 28th. I don't know what I was doing on that day, but as you can see, it's a lot of like low numbers. Nothing really to go into there. It's just I haven't been able to leave my room, so what do you expect? Sleep is a bit more interesting. You can see last night I got a bad night's sleep, and I can tell I physically do feel very tired right now. I might even catch a nap after this. Thursday I slept pretty well. The app is quite good if like gives you a fair score, a good score. I think it's great if you get like higher scores. Those scores again are based on your time of sleep versus like how much time you spent awake. Deep and REM sleep percentages, ratios, I guess, restoration above like your heart rates and stuff, how much restlessness you encountered that night. And yeah, I mean, there is more information. I can click on time of sleep and it will show me the time I was asleep, give me some information. You can click on deep and REM, there's more information there. Deep, this is a more insightful page. Because instead of just saying like you are asleep, you are awake, it's like you are in deep sleep or light sleep or REM sleep. Of course, based on the heartbeat tracked by this monitor, you can even get 30-day average, which is cool, a benchmark based on typical men in my age. Fair enough. But yeah, there's a lot of information here. Again, I'm not going to go into it any more than surface level because I don't know much more, but it is quite comprehensive. And there are times where I feel like I can tell, like I don't actually know in depth what it means to have like a lower resting heart rate when you're asleep. I guess because you're sleeping, your heart will literally supposed to slow down, and the slower your heart rate is, maybe it's synonymous with deep sleep. Maybe it should say somewhere. But you can see on this day, I spent a lot of time below my resting heart rate, which is, I guess, a good thing. Is it a good thing? I mean, I got like an average score here. This was meant to be a good night's sleep, so I guess it is a good thing. But yeah, there's a lot of info here. I don't know what it all means, but it's, you know, if you are yourself interested, if this video makes you want to buy a Fitbit, then by all means, you know, shout out to me. There's a promo code in the description. It's called There Is No Promo Code. but yeah, these are the numbers. You can see again. To be fair, I've been sleeping quite late most days. It's like 11. Monday I slept at 10:30, which isn't too bad. Sunday I slept at 5. Oh yeah, because I got 2 hours sleep on the night because I slept at 9 o'clock. Why did I sleep at 9? Nobody knows. But because I was seeing someone outside, social distancing rules and all of that. I saw a friend, got home late, went to sleep at 9, woke up at 12, and then stayed awake until 5. So you can see I've had a very disjointed sleep pattern recently, which is making me feel very anxious just looking at this. Midnight 11:30, 4:20. Very interesting sleeping pattern right now. 4 hours again on March 8th. So it's one interesting thing to note, I guess, is that it's ever since I had this, it's been automatically tracking my sleep, my steps, floors counted, calories, kilometers, floors climbed, not counted. So those things are all automatic. You just have to put it on and it does it itself. But the more interesting part of the video is what I'm going to discuss later on, which is based on my water log and my food log, where you have to do that manually. And I do have a lot of thoughts on that, which I will save till after this video, this like app review that I'm doing. But yeah, let's have a brief look here at the numbers. So water, you can see that I haven't come close to the, what is that, 6,500 milliliters. What does that mean? It doesn't say. I think that's just in its entirety. No, it's not. Oh, it's from month to month. So from the 6th of March to the 12th, I consumed 2,000 milliliters. Okay, that's pretty interesting. So like a rolling average, I guess. Well, a rolling total, and then the daily average is just divided by the number of days. But you can see that I've consistently failed to meet the 1.9 liter target that they think they recommend for you. Yeah, I'll save my thoughts till later. But yeah, I've been falling way below the average, which is quite poor from me. You can see here these are generally in chunks of 250, because if I try and log it for today, I haven't had any water yet, it's like 4 o'clock. But if I log it here, you can see it says quick add 1 glass, 250 milliliters, bottle 500, or a large bottle 750. And I generally just refill, you know, plastic bottles like this from Costco. And that's how I know exactly, like I had a full bottle, so that's 500, or I had half, that's 250, I had half of one old one and then 4 of another one, that's 750. So I keep track based on that, which is why the numbers are the way they are, basically. And yeah, I fall below the target, that's basically it. There's more analysis will come later, but it's not looking great for me. I feel really tired right now, actually. And last but not least, there's food. Calorie intake, maybe I should speak to Dev about what is going on with these birds outside today. But I'll speak to my friend Dev or TJ. Shout out to TJ and his podcast, which is eluding me, The Unraveling Show. Shout out to that, to my man. I'll put a link to his channel. His podcast, whatever his platform is, I'll put a link to it in the description below. TJ's a very cool guy. He was on my podcast as well, so I've got a lot of love and respect for him. But yeah, you can see again, I consistently fall below the daily calorie outtake, which is calculated again through here. So I can't speak on the accuracy of this. I don't know how the science works, but according to this, I do consistently fall below that. As I mentioned, water and food is manually inputted. I didn't eat anything on Saturday. 591 calories according to what I put in. And yeah, this again isn't boding very well for me. It's like I've been sleeping horribly, I've been eating horribly, I've been drinking no water. So what does this mean, I guess? What are my thoughts on that from a... You know what, let me actually put, because I have had a Rice Krispies bar today. Why isn't it working? This way. So you can see here my food log. These are the things that I've logged throughout the course of the week. More than once, I guess, and it just stores it here. It's frequent. Today I had a cereal bar, Rice Krispies sugars, yeah, chocolate caramel. You know, sugar coating breakfast. That's the way we do things in the Ebert household. I didn't log anything yesterday. Maybe I'll do that now as well. So yesterday, I'll do it off camera, but I'm gonna have to log this at some point. So let's go on to the next part of the video and discuss like what this means, and I guess like my objective and somewhat subjective thoughts on this whole process. Actually, before I do that, these are the numbers of my calorie intake from last week. Like I did show you the graph, but these are the actual objective numbers. You know, let me pick a good day. 1,690, Sunday, 14th of March. I had multi-fruit yogurt. That's an Actonel, like a little shot yogurt drink. Cheddar, that's a Baby Bell. Strawberries and banana smoothie. That was an innocent smoothie. I bought a big bowl and I just poured out a glass, had it for breakfast. Lunch, I had. This is something that annoys me about the app. You can't. I mean, it makes sense to put different, salmon fillet, mixed veg, rice, but it was like a salmon and rice meal. I wish I could just put like salmon and rice meal and it just knows, but that's what you get. Dinner, I had an oven baked pepperoni pizza, and then at some point I had apple and blackcurrant. It's whenever I scan the barcode for this Costco drink, it comes with apple and blackcurrant. I don't know why. It's just apple, but yeah, you can see how some kind of way how this works. Calories at the top here, it says 1690 in minus 2,374 out, so it's way less than my outtake. And in the macronutrients, carbs, fats, protein. You can click on it as well to see what the total numbers are. So quite interesting. Learn more. Is there more information? Oh, it takes me to the website. So there's a pretty decent amount of information here. But yeah. So what are my takeaways from all of that? Like, I do want to give a more analytical approach to that, but again, as I said earlier as well, I don't understand it all enough to give a proper overview. But like, what do I take away from it? So my number one takeaway, which isn't even about specifically my performance, it's literally just about the process of the last 2 weeks, and it's that it's very, 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 very hard. It is rewarding and it is important. Like, it actually is a big deal to know what I consume, to be aware of my intake, but it's difficult to develop that routine and organization and knowing what's what, and the macros and the carbs intake and the different types of sugars and different types of fats. Very difficult. When I first started, I tried to like turn over the packets of things and see what actually was actually in there, but it became difficult to track. Like, okay, so this says per 100 grams. How much have I got on this plate? I don't know. I mean, I'll talk more about portions later, but it's hard to know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and what impact this will have on how you feel later and how that will do this. Like, it's hard to know with foresight. Obviously in hindsight, how you know what you ate, and you know that you don't feel so good afterwards, but how do you know preemptively like eating this pizza is going to make me feel ill? You don't. I mean that's kind of a weird one. You shouldn't really be feeling ill if you eat pizza, but you know what I mean. I haven't come up with a way to know what's going on, other than just reacting to things in hindsight and then trying to make small iterations over time, which hasn't gone swimmingly well, as you can see. But that just goes to show how difficult it is. The thing is, on surface value, it is as simple as eating something and then taking down a note of like what was in that, in terms of like the not chemicals, but the nutritional value of that. The fats, the carbs, the protein, the vitamins that were in there, whatever macros. It's not actually that difficult to do, especially if you weigh what you're eating. If you know like 100 grams of this is equivalent to 10,000 calories, that's a lot of calories, to 800 calories, then of course you have like a direct correlation. If you're just throwing in random portions, that messes things up. But yeah, it is rewarding because, again, as I said, after those iterations, you realize that, okay, this is how things should be. This is why you should have 3 meals a day. Because I made the mistake several times. And I've done this historically in my life where I might miss breakfast. And to compensate for that, I have like a big lunch. And there are a couple of times this week, I don't know the exact days, but there are a couple of times this week, I'll try and find a screenshot where I had like a big lunch. I had maybe like an Actimel for breakfast, and I had like a decent sized lunch, and then a very small, if not no dinner, because I was still full after that big lunch. Even though the actual nutritional value of that lunch was very, very low, the calorie intake was very, very low, but maybe I had like a whole plate of rice and salmon, cooked salmon, that made me feel full. But it didn't do much for me physically, and health wise, that makes it difficult to know what you're doing, especially without help and without actually using the, the features of the app properly. But yeah, that's my main takeaway. My first takeaway is that it's way harder than I thought. However, you can get into it quickly. It is more about discipline than anything, and it's super, super rewarding. And again, more important than anything, it's actually important to know what your intake is, because then you can know what's going on to your body. You know, garbage in, garbage out. Whatever expression you guys go with, whatever you put in, you get out. Whatever you decide to go with, it's important to know what's going on inside you, because it's literally you. People spend more time with filters on Instagram than they do like preparing their meals. I don't, but I definitely should be putting more time into my meals. So that's takeaway number one. So takeaway number two is, as I said, portion sizes and knowing what is what. I don't know why I paused there, but knowing what is what. I usually historically just play it by eye. I think most people do as well. You see, like, okay, a couple of ribs there, I'll take some of that. Take some salad, some garlic bread, and you eat with your eyes. And then you often have the circumstance where you're full up and it's food excess. I'm not like that anymore. I'm actually quite good at knowing how much is going to fill me up. But knowing what's going to fill you up isn't the same as knowing how many calories your intake is, how many vitamins are in there, how nutritional this meal actually is. And even though portions alone can help with that, like let's say you know this whole plate is your portion size, that way you know like you have rice here and like meat there, your salads here, and you can separate things up if you know how big, you know, roughly how heavy by lifting the plate size will be. That does help. But again, it's about knowing that and figuring it out, and again avoiding the issues of like having a big lunch and then skipping dinner or something. You need to know, okay, I'm going to have a bit less now for lunch. That way I'll feel hungrier later and I can have a proper, more balanced meal later on to compensate for maybe missing breakfast, or maybe you just order takeaway for lunch instead of cooking a nice balanced meal. So that, I don't really know how to put that in a key takeaway is this, but fundamentally it's just about understanding the sizes of, understanding your own personal portion size, and that applies for breakfast, lunch and dinner. I've never really been a breakfast is the most important meal of the day type of person. I still don't think that. However, I do think, like, if you are going to stop having breakfast, make sure you still have the same amount of calories for lunch and for dinner. Maybe compensate a little bit, but there's no need to overcompensate. It's about being careful of your intakes. And again, consistency. Like, one thing that I think is a big issue for me is that I usually wake up around about between 7 and 9, and then I kind of get out of bed between like 8:30 and 9 most days, irrespective of whenever I wake up. But I'll have breakfast immediately. I get like my cereal bars in my room. I've got Atmos in the fridge, so I have that, like a very small breakfast. But lunch varies a lot depending on what I'm doing. Maybe I've got a meeting from like 12 to 1, so I have lunch after 1 o'clock. Maybe I've got a meeting from 1 until 2, so I have lunch earlier. Or what happens a lot of the time is that I don't have lunch before 1 o'clock, and then I've got to sit through the whole meeting. Next thing I know, it's like 3 o'clock and I have a late lunch, and that messes my dinner up as well. So yeah, as much as it comes to understanding your portion sizes and what meals you're gonna have, it's also a big element of like making sure you're eating at the same time. And all of these things fundamentally contribute. Like, all of my takeaways fundamentally is just saying be more organized and be more disciplined when it comes to like eating at the same time. Having well balanced meals, logging it on the app immediately afterwards. Like, I didn't log anything yesterday. I know what I ate, so I'm going to update it now in retrospect. But being quicker with that, so you know exactly. Maybe later on in the day you're feeling a bit peckish, but you're like, maybe let me check the app. You're like, okay, I've had a lot of protein today, so you might have something else. Or maybe you've had a lot of carbs today, so you might have like a salad or something to get away from the carbs. And that's something that I haven't really been very aware of, even though I've been tracking it on the app. As I say, I've not been disciplined. I might miss a meal, or like misreport something, and then I got to go back and think, what did I do that day? And it's just, it doesn't help at all. I feel like anyone who does anything in life will look at me right now and be like, you're an idiot, just do it. It's not difficult. But yeah, maybe I will make an update later on and see how my progress goes from here until then, when I'm taking stuff like properly. But yeah, that's takeaway number 2, is just understanding your portion sizes and keeping up to date with your meals, which mostly comes down to organization. But yeah. Takeaway number 3 from the app is that I think I even made reference to it whilst I was talking earlier, where as I was recording it, my steps just jumped up, and I haven't even been moving because I guess I've been moving my arm around a lot. And it's like, of course, it is as accurate as it can be with the tech and the software and all that stuff. I'm not doubting the potential or the technological capabilities of Fitbit or, of course, Google. But just because it's very good doesn't mean it's perfect. And understanding that it's not as accurate as you think is vital when it comes to keeping up to date, like physically, because the app is not physical. It's not a part of you. The app might say you've done 10,000 steps, but deep down you know you've done like 12, and you've just been sitting here doing this with your hand all day. So I'm right-handed, by the way, but but yeah, understanding the limitations, I guess, of the app and the software is very, very important. Like, one thing that annoyed me, well, not annoyed me, because it's not even the app's fault, it's more my fault, but if I go into my meals now, you can see that every time I put in, for example, for dinner yesterday, did I just have fries? Okay, that's kind of poor. But it says like home fries 362, and if I click on it, it says, you know, home fries McCann. I'm not recording it right now. I put a screenshot up actually. I put a screenshot up of this, but you know, I had 2 servings approximately. I don't know where I got that from, which is equates to 362 calories, according to the app. You know, I don't actually know if that's the case. The super smoothie I had, I'll get a screenshot of that as well. You know, 1 serving, it says approximately 227 calories. Is that accurate? I don't know. I don't know how accurate that is. And even though, again, as I say, I trust the capabilities of the app and you know how good the tech is, understanding the limitations means that you don't just take it on face value. You know, like I made reference to the water intake earlier, and it's consistently below the average, the recommended amount. But that's because, as I said, I only track water based on what I have in these bottles. If I drink apple juice in another bottle, if I drink water from a glass, if I eat rice, which is of course boiled in water, and the water is a lot of the water is absorbed by the rice, you know, I'm still consuming water in what I eat, what I drink. But that's not all being logged. All that's being logged is what I physically log based on the bottles of water I drink. So even though it says I'm way below the number, I'm actually generally not. You know, I do actually consume a lot of water from a day-to-day basis. Same rules apply for food. Like, some meals you can just make it up, not make it up, but you can manually input all of the data. But you saw somewhere it's like the blackcurrant, apple and blackcurrant was what came up when I scanned the barcode on this bottle. This is just apple juice, and the calories on the back of this per 100 milliliters is 42 kcal. Is that what I want? 42,000 calories, because K is 1,000. That's not right. But you know. Like, the point that I'm trying to get across is that it's not super accurate, and it's more important that obviously tracking is always better than not tracking. At least having an inaccurate number, maybe it's off by like 10% each way, plus minus 10%, is better than having a minus 100% because you don't track anything. But again, understanding the limitations and knowing what's true isn't necessarily what's visible on the app. My step count is probably always about 10% lower because I type a lot, and I feel like it must add up, as I've literally noticed throughout the course of this video. When I stopped recording, it must have been about 2,400. If I go and check into it now, I'm not going to get you a screenshot of this or anything, but it's 2,800. I haven't moved, and I've logged an extra 600 steps. So it's not super accurate. There are limitations, but the takeaway from that is like understanding and being aware of those limits. And then, if necessary, if you do want to have like a strict 2,000 calories and that's it today, then you have to do it. You have to do it on your own. Sadly, you have to know exactly how many calories are per 100 grams, 100 milliliters of this meal. Get like a little weighing scale and say, okay, I've had exactly 200 grams of this, so I've had exactly this many calories. Because as great as the technology is, it's not perfect. And that swings both ways. You know, for me, it's a case of this says that I've been way below the calorie intake every single day, but if I measure myself, you know, my weight has increased, which technically doesn't make any sense if you're outputting more energy than your input, and you'd think your overall energy should be going down, right? Your mass should be going down, but the truth is, well, maybe my weighing scale is lying to me as well. Like, maybe there always will be limitations on that scale as well, but you know, when I measure myself, my weight's been going up recently from like 60 something to 60 something. So what do I believe? What do I believe? Obviously for me, I believe that my weight based on the scale, and I believe as my sleep, I give a lot of merit to. I do feel more tired when I've slept less according to the app, and I do feel more awake when I've slept more based on the app. And that's not even a what's the word? it's not like a self-fulfilling prophecy or anything like that. It's like I physically wake up and I'm like, okay, I feel good today. Then I check the app to quantify that, to to prove that. It's not like I check it and I see I've slept badly. I'm like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I do feel kind of tired now. So I think the sleep tracker is pretty good. But again, fundamentally, there are always going to be errors. There are always going to be limitations of today's technology. So be wary of that and understand that just because it says you've had a bad day doesn't mean you've had a bad day. Just because the numbers look low doesn't mean they are low. Even if they look high, maybe not as high. And fundamentally, discipline again comes back into it here, where you have to make sure that you do your due diligence and actually put down the right food. Don't just be like, okay, I had rice, and then just type in rice and pick the first one. Think like, where was that rice from? Tesco's. Okay, now let me find the Tesco branded rice on the app, because they've got it has an extensive catalogue of all the meals. I don't actually know how it does it. I think everyone in the past just like scans their stuff and it stays up to date. But yeah, there is a pretty extensive catalogue there. Any like name brand products will be on there. So, picking the right one, because some chips might be like way more healthy than other, not healthy, but maybe it's just like you can get like salted chips you can buy at the shops, or you can just buy like regular fries, or like thick chips or curly fries. They all have different macronutritional values and stuff. So it's important again fundamentally to pick the right one to at least get as close to the true value as possible, instead of just saying I had chips today, just putting any chip packet on there. And another thing of course as well is to understand the portions, because as far as I can tell, I've never been able to change the exact number of calories, but I can change number of portions, even though I can't actually do integers. It's either like I can't do decimals, I can't do fractionals. I still need like 1 serving, 2 servings, 3 servings. So even that's a bit shaky. Like I feel like I do generally eat more than the recommended portion size. Like when it comes to a meal that says it will last 3 meals, it lasts me like 1.5. So I typically always double it, just because I think that's the case. But even then, I don't actually know if that's how it should be. So the limitations, of course, the great, it's more of a limit. It's more of a human error limit than a software error. But again, being aware of that and having the discipline and the organization and the knowledge to make the most of these functional features as possible. I definitely will be putting more time into this in the future. Probably like another 2-week challenge. I don't plan to consistently update the app. It's a bit tedious. I do definitely want to pay more attention to what I consume. More so from like I want to eat more vegetables. I haven't really had much veg recently, and it's also like frozen veg. So I'm gonna have to start buying like fresh vegetables and eating more greens. Maybe cut down on the rice and have some more pasta, some different forms of carbs like bread. Maybe like make some burgers one day. But that's more about my own purchasing habits. I don't care as much about the specific macros and calories. But I've learned a lot from this video. I was thinking this whole time in my head, I'm like, this is really bad. I might not upload this, but I've learned a lot just by talking it out. So hopefully you guys can learn something too. That's essentially the end of the video for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I will not do any more short videos, and what I mean by that is this is something I just sat down and made in seconds. In 29 minutes. Most videos to come out from now, hopefully into the distant future, will be much more it's not scripted, but I'm going to put more effort in. So let this be like a marker in time where hopefully the rest of my content is more well thought out and creative and interesting. And yeah, 2021, let's get it. That's been your boy. Drink some more water, track your calories, and I'll talk to you whenever the hell I decide to turn this camera on next. Peace.